Hey guys, I just wanted to tell you about why I got into gaming, and I'm also very curious, and you can leave in the comments why you got into gaming yourself. So for me, it's kind of a long story that I just wanted to share with you today, and this story starts way back when I was in sixth grade. Now, in sixth grade, there was this one day where our teacher had a three-step kind of like stepping stool thing in the front of the classroom to get in, and we had a line of kids that were all trying to get ready to get into the classroom. They climbed the stairs and then they were in, and that was kind of the end of what I remember. So I'm waiting in this line. One person goes, another person goes. There are people waiting behind me, right? And it's all pretty normal. And eventually it becomes my turn to get on this step, like this stair step thing. And I try, and I end up falling on the ground instead. When this happens, of course, I'm in sixth grade. There's going to be people laughing, right? Other students and people just making some jokes. But then I tried to get up for a little while, and they realized that I couldn't. And the hallway became silent. And the teacher started calling other teachers because I'm trying to get up, and I don't know why I can't. Right, and other teachers start coming. They're all just gathered around me in this giant circle, kind of freaking out, right? They don't know what's going on. I would probably freak out too if I were them. Eventually, the principal comes, gets me in a wheelchair, and calls my parents, calls the hospital to let them know, hey, this kid fell and he can't get back up, right? Which was kind of horrifying. Now, eventually, my parents get there. We go to the hospital, and since they don't know what's going on, they're going to have to run a bunch of tests. Now, the only test I remember is one of the most horrifying to me. So I don't really like shots at all. I don't know. It's just something about them. They freak me out. I can't watch them. Even though they don't even hurt that much, they just scare me. I get concerned each time. But what they had to do was they had like this green wire. And on one side it just looked like a regular old wire. But on the other side was a bunch of little needles. So me, horrified of shots, now sees this like wire with a whole bunch of needles on it, and I'm just kind of freaking out a bit, wondering like, why are there all of these needles on it? What are they gonna do? And of course what they're gonna do is strap the needles along my body, like arms, legs, torso. And then, like, this kind of feels a little awkward, a little bit painful to me. I mean, maybe not actually, but I was so horrified that there was perceived pain. They told me to move, right? They first said like, hey, move your right foot, bend it this way, bend it that way, move your leg. And they try and run all these tests. I'm trying to move them. It's really hard. And eventually, they stop it. They get all this stuff off of me. And I am crying horrendously, by the way, when this thing is over, because that's how much I hate shots. They actually said I was their worst patient ever. Right, so shout out to that doctor. Sorry. I mean, you're probably right. I hate shots, so I was freaking out. So all of that happens. Eventually, we get the results back. I have a type of muscular dystrophy known as myotonia congenita, or the Thompson's disease. So, a little bit about muscular dystrophy. There are quite a few different types, and my type is like one of the most rare, which you would think in most cases like, oh no, the most rare means the worst. But apparently not with muscular dystrophy. The most rare actually means the best possible scenario if you're going to have muscular dystrophy. Because you see, with muscular dystrophy, a lot of it has to deal with your muscles deteriorating over time. And that's what most types do, hence the name. And your heart is a muscle. So you can imagine you won't live forever if that happens, or if you have that. Now with myotonia congenita, actually your muscles don't have dystrophy over time, or rather they don't deteriorate, so you can live a normal amount of life. And I guess that is a good thing. But life with myotonia congenita is still hard. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And I sincerely mean that. Like, I think it's the hardest part of my life, and it's really, really difficult. So to explain just my situation to you, kind of what happens to me is muscles become harder to move, almost randomly. Like, there will be certain muscles one day it will work fine and I can go on runs. Then the next day I can't even really walk that well. You can imagine that's really frustrating, right? So when on the days I can't walk that well, or I have a really hard time even getting out of a chair, it really makes me sad and wish I could move. And I often use the phrase like a normal person, which honestly has been something that's been detrimental to my probably emotional health throughout my life, because I'm constantly like, dang, I wish I could be normal, or I wish that I didn't have this disease, or that it didn't hold me back in this way. And it was always so frustrating to have to deal with it, especially like each day is a new experience where I have to relearn how to function if a certain muscle is stiff when a different muscle isn't stiff, and it's a difficult thing to do. So that is a constant feeling that I've had, and a few stories to tell you. One story I have is this time in high school. I remember I was sleeping, and when I woke up, I couldn't move anything. So it was like paralysis. I was completely conscious and aware, but couldn't move. Actually, after a little bit of trying, I discovered that my head could move and that I could scream. And so you can bet I screamed like crazy. Unfortunately, I guess my dad snores louder than I scream, so no one ended up coming all night until the morning. And eventually, like, I was able to move and it just went away. That's how difficult it is to understand what's going on with my body. There are even times where my muscular dystrophy it gets affected by stress, it gets affected by the weather, it gets affected by the exercise I do. There's just all these things that go into it where anything can make me stiff, and there's really no rhyme or reason. I've tried to give rhyme or reason to when I'm not allowed to move, but there is none, which is really, it's hard for me. I can go on runs one day and then just be on the ground the next, unable to walk. And that also affects just everyday life, where it's so weird. Muscular dystrophy can or myotonia congenita, this type, can just take out your legs, like randomly, whenever they want. Actually, really recently, I managed to either sprain or break my toe because my legs gave out from under me. They just gave up randomly. They decided, hey, you're not going to move today after all, and knocked me down. Now, with all this being said and how hard it is to deal with, I have been born with a very stubborn personality. So all my life I've been trying to fight this disease. It's almost like not being accepting of the disorder, which can't be healthy, because I'm like saying, hey, it's me versus it, when really it's a part of me and I have to live with it. But it's always been this, I'm trying to beat muscular dystrophy. I'm trying to be more than this disease. I hate it when people look down on me with it and they're like, oh, do you need help? Or they see something different about me and they don't treat me like they would others. It's really difficult when you like play volleyball with a church group and then a week you just can't come because on that random Thursday, muscular dystrophy decide, hey, you're not going to play volleyball on that day. Or even little things like at a table tennis club, like maybe one of the weeks all of a sudden it says, hey, you can't even play table tennis on this day. And that's just really frustrating, right? There's a lot of things I like to do that become difficult. Right? Anything physical, eventually on some day, I'm probably not going to be able to do it. Now, that being said, I still really wanted to be more than the disease. At school, I had a bunch of accommodations. I was told I could leave classes early, which I actually never did, even though they wanted me to. I was told I could use my school's elevator, but instead I would take the stairs, despite how bad or hard it would be. And I try to avoid people when my muscular dystrophy is acting up. Like, I actively find ways to just avoid others so that they don't notice and they don't see me when I'm at my worst. Alright, which is kind of sad to say, but that's what I do. Now, eventually, I was at a children's hospital for my brother. Something had happened with him. And in their waiting room, they had a bunch of different toys, most of it physical, and my body was acting up at the time, so I didn't really want to move around all that much. And then I noticed something. They had a game console. Now, I had never played video games before this moment. Didn't really know what to expect. But one thing that's been consistent throughout my life with muscular dystrophy is that my arms and upper body are more or less okay most of the time. Now, it gets affected as well, but really what's the worst part for me are my legs. My legs are what's the most difficult part. So I can sit down and play this console that I see. This console is a PlayStation 1. And in the console is Spyro. So I start playing this game while my body can't move. And I realize I have so much freedom in this game. Like, in this game, I can do everything the game wants me to do. And that was very freeing for me. I enjoyed it a lot. I got to do something with hardly any limitations for the first time in a while. Right, with the first time without physical hardships for doing it. And that was kind of the one and done experience. I didn't think much of it other than it was pretty fun and enjoyable, and that it was a freeing moment. But that's all it was a moment. I had to go back to reality, right? I still have to live with this disease. And back to my stubborn personality of trying to beat muscular dystrophy. I tried a few different ways. One, I did marching band in high school and in college actually. Despite my muscular dystrophy, there were days where I'd have to explain to the marching band director, hey, I can't do today because my legs are not working. But for the most part, I tried my best and very stubbornly was able to march on most days. But even then, it wasn't easy. Then, eventually, my friend invites me over to their house to play some video games. This friend was very into video games. They had played a lot more than I had. And I mean, I remembered Spyro when I was talking to them, and I thought, okay, that was a freeing experience. I'll try out this video game. Now, my friend had an Xbox. I hadn't seen an Xbox before. I thought the controls were kind of weird, different. But I still wanted to give it a try. And the game he wanted us to play was completely different from Spyro. It was the game called Halo 2, a first-person shooter. And in this game, I realized even more how freeing it really was to play video games. Here I was, as this Spartan, running around, taking out aliens with no limitations of my own. Insane ability to jump, to reload, to shoot, to run around, to melee enemies, to do whatever I wanted. And I wasn't even that good at it, and I was still having a lot of fun playing this game. And it was the co-op campaign, so I was playing with my friend, you know, back in the day where split screen was more common. Online wasn't as easy to get to, so that's what we did, right? And because online wasn't as easy to get to, eventually we finished the campaign, and my friend wanted us to 1v1 on the multiplayer maps in Halo 2. Now, with that, I got destroyed. Like, absolutely wrecked by my friend in this game. And that was kind of frustrating to me. Not only is my prideful personality of wanting to beat muscular dystrophy a thing, but I also want to be good at the things that I do. So I wanted to improve at this video game. And now I owe my mom a lot of credit for what happened next. But I asked my mom, I was like, hey, I really want this Xbox. And the next day, after playing with my friend, my mom buys me an Xbox and Halo 2. Then I proceed to play that game all day long. I'm practicing aiming. I'm practicing against other players. I'm getting ready to play my friend again. Completely unbeknownst to him that this is happening. And I remember I eventually, probably a couple days later, so not even that long, I got back to my friend's house and we play Halo 2 again. This is the moment I've been waiting for. And in this moment, I completely destroy my friend. It is not like the last time we had played. It is a complete reversal. Before, he had destroyed me to the point where it was just unplayable. This time around, I completely destroyed him to the point that he wasn't having that much fun. But I was. I was having a blast. I loved that moment. This was the first time I remember feeling like I'm truly equal to someone with what I would call a normal body. And that felt amazing. Hence, I started to grow a love for video games. I loved that moment. I loved being, for the first time in my life, or at least what felt like the first time, an equal to somebody, where I felt like I could stand a chance against them in some activity. And this would go on, right? I would start to play more video games. Eventually, online would become more prevalent. I would play the life out of Halo 3 on the Xbox 360. I mean, countless hours. I couldn't even tell you how many hours. And I made so many friends along the way playing that game. And these were friends that couldn't have any judgment of me at all, because they wouldn't know. I was pretty decent at Halo 3 back when I used to play it. I was definitely the best in my friend group, and at LAN parties where we would all get our Xboxes and play together, I would absolutely destroy everyone, and it was a good time. It felt like the first time people thought of me as an equal, that there was no limitation, that if I did something wrong, then I was blamed for it 100%, which was valid and deserved. But what I was really grateful for was I didn't have to get looked at like a lesser person, or someone didn't just assume I needed help because of what they had seen, or some physical weakness of mine that shows. Like, oftentimes when I walk, I probably have a limp because I'm struggling balancing the muscular dystrophy. Or if I'm going upstairs and someone sees me, that's always rough because the stairs are just difficult to go up. And actually, this story is kind of funny. I think looking back, a lot of things are funny. But I was trying to climb some stairs, and there was this old guy who, bless him, he didn't know. He doesn't know still. But I was trying to get up the stairs. It was really difficult, and he said, "You shouldn't be moving like that until you're my age." Yeah, I thought it was funny. Now, but I don't know. At the time, I was just kind of sad by it, where I was like, yep, I have limitations, and I can't move as well. But in video games, I can, and the judgment just isn't there. And it would go on to so many more opportunities just for experiences. Even now, I have a friend group on Discord that I get to play games with all the time, and I'm probably closer to them than a lot of my real life friends, just because I can always get on the game even when not my muscular dystrophy is really acting up. While in real life, friends could invite me to things, but if my muscular dystrophy is acting up, I may have to say, no, I can't come today. I'm so sorry. I hopefully will try again later. Which is really hard, especially in real life, when they're like, hey, we want to get together on this day at this time, and you say, yeah, sure, okay. And then that day finally comes, that time that you're supposed to be spending with them, and you can't because all of a sudden your body decided, well, on that day, at that time, you won't be able to move. And it can get really, really inconvenient at times. I've never had that feeling with video games. Right, so that's really why I'm into these games and why I love them so much, and why I'm always willing to try out a new game, have new experiences, and to have a lot of fun while playing. And hopefully you're out there having fun playing the video games that you're playing, and that you have a good reason to play, because no one wants to play when you're having a kind of bad time, or you're there just to like do better at it, or like, I don't know, when you turn it into something that's not fun, then it's not fun for those around you as well. So hopefully you're having fun in games, you're getting to play with your friends, and doing what gaming is meant to do. Really, it's a break. It should be an experience where you don't have to deal with reality. A break from all of the hard things that work deals out to you, or that maybe life struggles you're having. This is meant to be a time of relaxation. A lot of people have turned gaming into this really big stressful competition where it's all about winning and all about being the best, and sometimes to the point of just cheating, which I don't even know if I'll ever understand. That's probably a whole different videos, but if you're one of those cheaters on Fall Guys, you're kind of crazy. I never understood why people wanted to cheat on that game. But yeah, that's been my experience with gaming. I'll let the rest of this run go for you on a game called RoboQuest. It's actually a really fun game, and hopefully I'll just talk to you next time, have fun together, and make sure you let me know in the comments below why you play the games that you do, or how you got into video games. Bye.